When I found this letter under the floorboards, I had no idea my life would change forever. It was a letter written and hidden by a nurse 80 years ago. Inside was a wedding ring and a note saying, "The truth I couldn't tell you." This was the story of my grandmother Elizabeth's wartime love. That cold March morning, we were cleaning out the house left by my grandmother Elizabeth in Manchester. She had passed away last winter at 94, leaving behind only an old Victorian house filled with memories. My wife Helen and I had been sorting through the attic belongings for 3 days. Old furniture, faded photographs, piles of books. Every corner told a story. In the darkest corner of the attic, we discovered a forgotten trunk, covered with old newspapers. Its leather lid was cracked, metal clasps rusted. The label on it read, E.M. Collins, Nurse Training, 1942. It must have been from my grandmother's nursing education period. When we brought the trunk down to the living room and opened it, we encountered remnants from the war years. Old nursing uniforms, white aprons, caps, thick stockings, yellowed photographs, medical notes, old letters and postcards. Every item was a silent witness to those difficult days. But at the bottom, a carefully wrapped package awaited us, wrapped in brown paper, tied with red string. On it, in my grandmother's handwriting, was written, "Show to no one, E.M., 1943. It felt like a stern warning. Helen and I looked at each other. "Should we open it?" she asked. With trembling hands, I opened the package. What emerged surprised us. An old nurse's bag, black leather, classic model. Its leather was cracked, metal clasp rusted, corners worn. But in the bag's secret compartment, an unexpected treasure was hidden. A faded letter, carefully folded inside its envelope. A small gold ring still shining, and a sepia-colored photograph with curled corners. In the photograph was my grandmother Elizabeth in her younger days, around 23 to 24 years old, in her white nursing uniform, hair pinned up, with hope mixed with sadness in her eyes. Next to her stood a handsome doctor in a white coat, dark-haired, serious-looking, but with a kind face. On the back of the photo was written in handwriting, "Elizabeth and Doctor. Thomas Harrison, St. Mary's Hospital, London, August 12, 1943. The ring was like a simple gold wedding band, but very small, as if it had never been worn. Inside, TH to EM Forever was engraved in fine letters, from Thomas Harrison to Elizabeth Margaret, Forever. When I began to open the letter, I encountered my grandmother's trembling but beautiful handwriting. The date was October 15th, 1943, right during one of the most intense periods of the London Blitz. Dearest Thomas, as I write this letter, my hands are trembling, not just from fear of the bombs outside, but from the weight of what I want to tell you. Tonight might be our last night. The sirens haven't stopped for 3 hours. The hospital could be hit at any moment. I'm looking out the window. The sky is red. And I can't wait any longer. We've been working together at St. Mary's for 6 months. For 6 months, I've watched you, talked with you, helped with your patients, seen how your hands save lives. Those gentle hands of yours, that compassionate voice you use when talking to patients, that calmness you never lose, even in difficult situations. And for 6 months, I've tried to hide this feeling growing in my heart. Thomas, I love you. Even writing these words is so difficult. I know I shouldn't say this. You're a married man. You have a happy home with Catherine, 2 beautiful children, little Emma and James. You're a respected doctor. I'm just a simple nurse. But this feeling is so strong that I can no longer keep it inside. If a bomb falls tomorrow and I die, I don't want to leave without telling you. Do you remember when we treated little Annie last week? That sweet 7-year-old girl, a bomb fragment had pierced her leg. She was so scared, crying. When you talked to her, telling her stories, stroking her hair, I watched your eyes. You were so gentle, so compassionate, so sincere. At that moment, I realized, I'm not just in love with you. I admire you too. The goodness in you, your humanity. After reading this first page, I stopped. Helen was holding my hand, her eyes filled with tears. This is so touching, she whispered. Continue. We need to learn this story. I moved to the second page. Do you remember that long night shift 3 days ago? You operated for 18 hours straight, never stopped, never complained. Wounded soldiers kept coming, and you approached each one with the same care. When you collapsed in the corridor after saving the last patient, I caught you. Being in your arms at that moment, sharing your exhaustion, you crying on my shoulder. The world seemed to stop. My heart was beating so fast, you must have heard it too. Thomas, I love you not just as a doctor, but as a human being. The childhood stories you tell during morning tea breaks about Devon, your tired but happy face after evening patient visits. That deep breath you take in difficult cases, the sparkle in your eyes after a successful surgery. I love it all. When you laugh, your thoughtful moments, even the rare minutes when you're angry. I know this is an impossible dream. You're married to Catherine, you have a beautiful family. You only see me as a work colleague. Maybe your kind behavior is just professional courtesy, but the heart doesn't listen to logic, does it? The heart just loves, without question. I had bought this ring for you. Yes, Thomas, I bought it for you. From that little jeweler on Piccadilly with 2 months of my salary. Such a simple, plain thing. But the feeling inside it is infinite. I had forever engraved inside because I will love you forever, whether this war ends or not, whether you're with me or not. But I couldn't give it to you. How could I? I couldn't go to you and say, take this, Thomas, I love you, be with me, you're happy, you have a family, responsibilities. I'm just a foolish nurse dreaming. But dreaming is beautiful too, isn't it? On the 3rd page, the writing had deteriorated further. Ink droplets had spread on the paper. Tonight, alone in the hospital, I thought about many things. Bombs are approaching, buildings are shaking, but I'm looking at the light coming from your room. Just knowing you're there comforts me. What if the war ends and you go to another city? Or if I get transferred to another hospital? I'll lose you without ever expressing these feelings. And I'll live with what if for the rest of my life. Do you remember that wounded soldier from Coventry last month? A young man named Henry, 19 years old. Before he died, he held my hand and said, "Nurse, tell the one you love. There's no tomorrow in war. Tell them so you won't regret it. I'm here because I couldn't tell mine." That night, Henry's words wouldn't leave my mind. The young boy was right, but I still can't say it. I never forget the day I first saw you. April 15th, 1943, Monday morning at 7:30. You had just been assigned to the emergency service. I was showing you around the hospital. Those blue eyes of yours, that gentle voice. "Thank you, Elizabeth. You're very kind," you had said. The way you said my name, that sincere smile you gave me. From that moment, my heart belonged to you. In fact, that evening when I went home, I looked at myself in the mirror and smiled. My mother had asked, "What happened to you, Elizabeth? You look very happy." "Nothing, Mother, just had a good day," I had said. But actually it was you. You had changed my life. Moving to the 4th and final page, I saw the writing had become almost illegible. "Thomas, I know I can never give you this letter. When I wake up in the morning, I'll probably tear it up or hide it in the deepest part of my drawer. But I had to write it. I had to pour out what's in my heart somewhere. Maybe one day, years from now, someone will find this letter and read it. And understand that in war, it's not just bullets and bombs that kill. Unspoken words kill people too. Tomorrow I'll act normal again. When I see you, I'll smile, say, 'Good morning, doctor,' Harrison, and work. But inside me, there will be a storm. I'll see you every day, work with you, talk with you. But I'll never be able to express my true feelings. This will be my secret. I'll keep it in the deepest part of my heart. If you ever read these lines, though I know such a day will never come, know that I loved you for who you are, not for your title, position, or status. For Thomas Harrison, just for Thomas. For your kindness, your compassion, your strength, yet gentleness. For the respect you show your patients, the courage you display in difficult moments, the politeness you never lose even when tired. I will always keep this ring as a symbol of the love we couldn't live. Maybe one day when I grow old and die, someone will find it and wonder. That's when our story will be told. Maybe then it will be understood that sometimes the greatest loves are those that cannot be lived. Loving you forever. Elizabeth Margaret Collins. October 15th, 1943, midnight 2:30 a.m. St. Mary's Hospital, London 3rd floor nurse's room. Note, the bombs have come very close. I'm going downstairs to say good night to you. I want to look at your face one last time. This might really be my last time. If I'm found dead in the morning, know that my last thought was of you." When I finished the letter, tears were streaming down my cheeks. Helen was also crying silently. There was a deep silence in the room, as if time itself had stopped. But we didn't know the end of this story yet. "What about Grandfather George?" Helen asked. "Did you ever see this doctor, Thomas, or did Grandmother ever mention him?" "No," I said thoughtfully. "Grandmother never married. She always said, the right person never came along. But now I understand. The right person existed. He was just unreachable." That evening, I called my mother, Sarah. She was 68 and knew much more about her mother's war years than I did. "Mom," I said with excitement in my voice, "do you know anything about Grandmother's wartime love? Someone named Dr. Thomas Harrison." There was a long silence on the phone. Then I heard her take a deep breath. "Michael, I think it's time." "Yes, I know. My mother had told me, but she made me promise never to tell anyone. Even before her death, she said, 'This secret will be buried with me.'" "What exactly happened?" "Thomas, Dr. Harrison really existed, Michael, and he loved my mother too, loved her very much. But neither of them could say it. Such things were very difficult back then. Thomas had a family, social pressure was immense. In the 1940s, nurse-doctor relationships weren't well received, especially when a married doctor was involved. So what happened to them afterward?" "Thomas was sent to France in 1944 as a military doctor to participate in the Normandy landings. When saying goodbye to my mother, she saw the same feeling in his eyes. They both cried, but still said nothing. When Thomas returned from the war, in 1945, my mother had moved to another city, to Manchester here. They never saw each other again." "What about that ring?" "Ah," my mother said, her voice trembling. "That ring, Thomas had also bought a ring for my mother, Michael, the same day from the same jeweler. Neither could give theirs to the other. How ironic, isn't it?" This information deeply shook me. Two people at the same time, thinking of each other, buying rings from the same place, but neither having the courage to give them. The following week, to satisfy my curiosity, I went to London. I researched the archives of St. Mary's Hospital. In the 1943 personnel records, I found both Elizabeth Collins and Dr. Thomas Harrison. Their photographs, duty records, even the shift lists they worked together. My most surprising discovery came during internet research. Dr. Thomas Harrison had passed away in 2019 at exactly 95 years old, in Brighton, in a small house by the sea. His obituary read, "Never married throughout his life, had no children, led a life dedicated to the medical profession." I managed to contact Thomas's nephew, David Harrison, a 62-year-old retired teacher. When I told him my grandmother's story, I felt his shock over the phone. "My God," David said. "My Uncle Thomas also used to talk about a nurse, a woman named Elizabeth. He'd call her the love of my life, but never gave details, kept it very secret. When we asked, he'd fall silent. His eyes would drift away. He must not have been able to say it due to our family pressure." The following week, David brought me a box of Thomas's personal belongings, and there I found another ring identical to my grandmother's. Inside it was engraved EC to TH forever, from Elizabeth Collins to Thomas Harrison, forever. When we placed the two rings side by side, they formed a perfect pair, as if they had been waiting for each other for 80 years. "This is both very sad and very beautiful," Helen said. "Two people loved each other this much, but couldn't say it." "Maybe," I said thoughtfully, "that's what true love is. You don't have to possess the one you love. Sometimes just loving is enough." David and I visited both graves together. Elizabeth and Thomas were resting in Highgate Cemetery, in the same section, only 50 meters apart. This couldn't be a coincidence. Elizabeth's headstone read, "A loving nurse, 1920 to 2014. Thomas's read, "A life-saving doctor, 1918 to 2019. But both graves always had fresh flowers. Who was leaving them? We spoke with the cemetery keeper. The old man, John, smiled. "Ah, these two graves. Very special cases. Every year, on the same day, someone mysterious leaves flowers. On October 15th. It's been like this for years. Unfortunately, we've never seen who it is. They always leave them at night." October 15th. the day my grandmother wrote the letter. That night, when we returned home, we searched my grandmother's bedroom once more carefully. On the top shelf of her closet, we found other boxes. Inside them were florist receipts, dozens of them, all from the same florist, all dated October 15th, from 1990 to 2017, for 27 years. My grandmother, in the final years of her life, had been sending flowers to both her own future grave and Thomas's grave every year, without giving her name, secretly, silently. On the last receipt was a note in my grandmother's handwriting. "This will be my last time. I'm very old now, sometimes I forget, but I don't want these two graves to be without flowers. Please let someone continue this tradition in the coming years. It's very important to me. E.M. Collins." Helen and I talked at length that night. Two people, 80 years ago, had loved each other madly, but didn't have the courage to say it. They kept this secret in their hearts throughout their lives, and even after death, they continued to love, to show respect to each other. "Maybe that's what true love is," Helen said, her eyes filling with tears. "Not possessing, but loving. Not taking, but giving. Not speaking, but feeling." The following October 15th, Helen and I took flowers to both graves. We had decided to continue my grandmother's tradition, and we were surprised. There were other flowers there too. Others had learned this story and begun to show respect for this love. As we placed the flowers, a gentle breeze blew, as if two souls were finally reuniting. And at that moment I understood, love doesn't die. Whether spoken or unspoken, lived or unlived, reciprocated or not, true love lives forever. Elizabeth and Thomas's story shows how powerful unspoken words can be. Sometimes the greatest loves are the quietest ones. Sometimes the deepest feelings are those never expressed. Even today, every October 15th, we take flowers to both graves, and each time we find new flowers there. As this story spreads, more people want to witness, to show respect for this silent love. Because true love knows no boundaries. It knows no time, no death, no social pressures. And sometimes, the most powerful words are those never spoken. The letter in Elizabeth's nurse bag wasn't just a love story. It was proof of how humanity's purest emotion can survive, can live on even in the most difficult times, under the most impossible conditions. And every October 15th, standing at those two graves, we understand love lives forever, whether spoken or unspoken. Unspoken words are just as powerful and meaningful as those that are spoken.